On October 2, 2017, the nation and the world was alerted to a mass shooting in Las Vegas, Nevada.
Tonight, we are on the scene, the massacre here in Las Vegas, the deadliest mass shooting in modern American history. The gunman firing down at thousands who were gathered at an outdoor concert from his hotel room on the 32nd floor. The crowd erupting into mass panic, some diving for cover, others running for their lives.
The shooter, Stephen Paddock, shot off more than 1,000 rounds, killing 60 people and wounding almost 1,000 others. This surveillance footage actually shows the gunman just days before the shooting. But these videos of an ordinary person are disguised as a far more sinister intent. Welcome to Peak Visibility, where we pull the curtain back on the 2017 Las Vegas shooter who single-handedly changed America. But here's the strange part. Just days before the attack, he seemed like any other hotel guest. Surveillance footage shows him buying snacks, chatting with staff, playing video poker. Nothing about him screamed mass murderer. So how does a seemingly normal man become a one-man army overnight? And why, years later, do we still have no clear answer? Born on April 9, 1953 in Iowa, Stephen Paddock was the son of a criminal who robbed banks and was once one of the FBI's most wanted people.
Now, his father committed small acts, including small acts in Chicago, and also spent time in and out of prisons in Illinois before heading to Arizona. That's where he robbed a bank and escaped from prison, landing on the FBI's most wanted list. The Historic Society says the records seem to have disappeared after that, and the family records haven't continued since.
But Stephen didn't grow up to be a criminal, at least not at first. He had a number of jobs over the years, but eventually made a small fortune through real estate investments and gambling. In fact, gambling became one of his defining traits. He was known to spend hours playing video poker in casinos, sometimes wagering tens of thousands of dollars in a single night. Casinos knew him by name and treated him like royalty, offering him high-end rooms, VIP service, and access to high-limit areas. By the time he was in his 60s, Paddock had stopped working. He owned several homes, flew private planes, and traveled a lot between Nevada, Texas, and California. He had never been in serious trouble with the law, had no record of violence, and didn't seem to follow any strong beliefs or causes. To neighbors and acquaintances, he came off as quiet, self-contained, maybe a little odd, but nothing more. That's part of what makes his story so confusing. There were no warning signs, no angry social media posts, no letters explaining his actions, no clear reason for what he would later do. He lived with his girlfriend, collected guns legally, and liked to focus on numbers and gambling strategies. Nothing about him suggested he would ever hurt anyone. This apparent normalcy is part of what makes the Las Vegas shooting so difficult to comprehend. Most mass shooters leave behind some explanation, a motive, a grievance, a manifesto, something that helps the public understand why. But with Paddock, there was silence. No known mental illness, no criminal ties, no clear ideology. Just a man who, without warning, turned a hotel suite into a sniper's nest and left the world asking why. What makes the Las Vegas shooting even more shocking is just how carefully planned it was and how little anyone noticed. In the days leading up to the attack, Paddock brought more than 20 firearms into his suite on the 32nd floor of the Mandalay Bay Hotel. Most of these were large rifles, and some had special parts that made the guns shoot faster than normal. He didn't carry everything in at once. Instead, he took many trips, bringing bags and suitcases filled with guns and bullets. Since he was known as a regular guest who spent a lot of money gambling, hotel workers didn't think it was strange that he had so much luggage. Inside the suite, Paddock set up what looked like a small armory. He used power tools to drill holes in the walls so he could place cameras in the hallway. These let him monitor anyone approaching the room. He also placed a "Do Not Disturb" sign on the door, giving himself more privacy. In total, investigators found 23 guns, thousands of rounds of ammunition, and even notes with calculations about bullet trajectories, distance, and angles, all suggesting that this was a deeply premeditated attack. On the night of October 1st, 2017, a music festival was happening just across the street from his hotel. More than 20,000 people were at the concert. At 10:05 p.m., Paddock broke the windows of his hotel room and started shooting down at the crowd. He kept firing for about 10 minutes, shooting over 1,000 bullets. Because he was so high up and far away, people didn't know where the gunfire was coming from. Many thought it was fireworks at first, then panic set in.
What is it? I don't know.
What's scary is how easy it was for him to do all of this without being stopped. The hotel didn't notice anything wrong. No alarms went off, and even when he bought the guns, he followed the law. He bought them from stores, passed background checks, and didn't do anything that would make people suspicious. For many, that's one of the most unsettling aspects of the entire event. How does a man bring dozens of deadly weapons into a major hotel undetected? How does someone plan an attack of this scale, alone, without raising a single alarm? The answers to those questions only led to more questions, and the lack of clear warning signs made the aftermath feel even more disturbing. It wasn't just about who Stephen Paddock was. It was also about how easily he was able to carry out the deadliest mass shooting in American history right under everyone's nose. The story of Stephen Paddock is unlike many we've seen before. He was a man who lived quietly, blending into the background without any obvious warning signs or clear motives. Yet, he was able to carry out one of the deadliest attacks in American history, all while staying hidden in plain sight. There was no obvious hatred driving him, no manifesto to explain his anger, and no clear message left behind to help us understand why he did what he did. What makes this tragedy so hard to accept it isn't just the unimaginable loss of so many innocent lives, it's the silence that followed. No notes, no videos, no angry rants or signs of a deeper plan. Just a cold, carefully planned act that shattered thousands of lives and changed a nation forever, without a single explanation. It's this silence, the absence of answers, that leaves a haunting emptiness and a restless need to understand. As we reflect on that night in Las Vegas, we are forced to confront a question that continues to haunt us all. Why did he do it? What could have driven a man who appeared so normal to commit such an unthinkable act? And even now, years later, why do we still have no clear answer? This unanswered question leaves us in a difficult place. It reminds us that sometimes the most tragic events don't come with easy explanations. Sometimes the darkness comes from a place so hidden, so complex, that we may never fully understand it. But asking these questions, seeking the truth, and remembering the victims is how we begin to heal.